Hello and welcome to Thought for February the 13th. Our readings are Exodus chapter 23, Psalm 77 and Mark chapter 9. And our thought is, I believe, help my unbelief. What did Jesus mean when he said, all things are possible for one who believes? Mark 9 verse 23. His remark was made in the context of some of his disciples failing to heal a boy who was suffering from what we would call today epilepsy. Jesus had been away with his three most intimate disciples. His remarkable transfiguration had taken place in their presence on the mountain. In the meantime, his remaining disciples had attracted a great crowd around them. Verse 14. Because a man brought his epileptic son in the hope of a healing. He tells Jesus, I asked your disciples to cast it out, but they were not able. Verse 18. Then asked Jesus, if you can do anything, have compassion on us and help us. Verse 22. Jesus responds, all things are possible for one who believes. And the Father cries out, I believe, help my unbelief. Verse 24. Jesus then heals the boy. The Father's cry is one we can resonate with. It seems inevitable there is a limit to our total conviction of faith. The disciples who failed to heal later asked him privately, why could we not cast it out? And he said to them, this kind cannot be driven out by anything but prayer. Verses 28 and 29. They had reason to believe they could heal, we presume, because Jesus earlier gave them authority, chapter 6, verse 7, both to heal, and he had sent them out two by two to preach and heal, and they were successful, we read in verse 13 of that chapter. But after Jesus ascended to heaven, miraculous gifts were given at Pentecost, initially to the disciples. But, wrote Paul, they will pass away. 1 Corinthians 13 verse 8. However, three things will remain. Faith, hope, and love abide. These three. Verse 13. And in the end, only one will abide. Love. Because faith and hope will be fulfilled. It is James in his letter who makes the vital point that the prayer of faith will save the sick. Chapter 5 verse 15. And the prayer of a righteous person has great power in its working. Verse 16. James gives Elijah as an example. The ESV gives an alternative translation in a footnote. The effective prayer of a righteous person has great power. This is parallel to the wording in the AV. Meditating on the Father's plea, as in our heading, how many times in desperate situations have we expressed similar words? Answered prayers are wonderful, yet overriding all our prayers is the example of Jesus in his prayers in the Garden of Gethsemane. My Father, if it be possible, nevertheless not as I will, but as you will. Matthew 26 verse 39. Have not all of us expressed this frantic prayer of the Father? I believe, help my unbelief at some stage in our lives. The end result of our times of trauma, although maybe not immediate, is to sense we are closer to God, that his presence is more real to us, and we receive help, which on some occasion is quite miraculous. Well, thank you once again for joining us for Thought for the Day, where together we can open up the pages of God's Word, knowing that Word to be a lamp to our feet and a light to our path.